I'm here. I'm here. I was wrapped up in some conversation. Sorry. But I am here. Let me get my camera on. I hope you all are having a good day. Current selection. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Our Vote Counts. This is the place to be if you're trying to make the democracy better. I was trying to do a little rhyme. I think I failed. That's why I didn't go into that in my career. All right. Welcome, everyone. Y'all come in, tap that screen. Make sure you're tapping. Make sure you're sharing it out. Let me send my shares out. 222. You got to repost it and add it to my... And share this to some good people. See, I actually be looking at who I'm sharing it with. Some of y'all just be like, send. I get 5 sends. I'm like, now you know that person then already shared this with me. That's okay. I'll take them all. And who else? Trying to get some folks I know in Georgia. Nope, I didn't want to send that one. I know that person's in Georgia. Georgia, the whole day through. That's one of my favorite songs, y'all. It's Georgia's on my mind. All right. I think I have sent this out to quite a few people. Yes. All right, Miss Danielle, let me go ahead and send you an invite. Wait, that was not the invite. That was the app. All righty. I sent you that invite. Hopefully you're on a phone, not a computer. It will not let you come up on a computer, unfortunately. I think we should petition for TikTok to upgrade that we should be able to go be live on a computer. So you have to be on a phone or a tablet. Hi, Miss Ayana explains it all. You want to back up. All right, so Miss Danielle, I'm going to send you the invite again. And it's still there. It's still showing. So again, you just hit the accept. And we're going to have a good conversation today. Talking about the state of Georgia. How's the weather in y'all area? It is 79 degrees here in DC. I told y'all the East Coast weather is bipolar. I can't speak about nobody else, but East Coast weather is bipolar because it was literally 45 degrees yesterday, and today we're at almost 80. A tornado in Ohio? Lord have mercy. It's called climate change, y'all. It's called climate change. Thank you so much for that, Alex. Appreciate you. I know. Blessed. 63 feels like summer in Massachusetts. 63 feels like summer. In Louisiana, 63 is cold. So it's all about perspective, guys. It's all about perspective. But like I said, we had a daggone near 80 degrees and a beautiful sunshiny day. If I could live in this weather year round, it would be perfect. What is it like in Indiana, Miss Gwen? What West Virginia looking like? What's the weather like there? Miss Danielle, I'm gonna see if I can send you another invite if you got onto a different device. All right, and sent it back out again. Let's see if we can get you up here. Okay, come in and make a comment on your other device, on your other page, so we can request for it to come up. Not 84. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's summertime in in Indiana. Yeah, Miss Danielle, just come in and say, hey, it's me, on your other account. Oh, wait. You can share it. Okay, so share it from here on your Danielle for Georgia account. Share it to your regular account. Okay, there you go. Boom. All right. Let me bring you on up. Okay, try it again. All right, it says invite sent. All right, looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Uh-oh, you might not be able to come up on this page. Oh, it's only 2 followers on that one. What can we do, y'all? Yeah, it might not let you up. You might not have enough. Okay, nope. There you go. Boom.
Yeah, awesome.
Now, let's
Thank
see.
you.
Oh, but we don't have camera access. It's okay. It's okay. We could work without the camera. But I wanted them to see your pretty face.
Well, I had to update the settings. That's why it took me so long to get in, because it didn't have settings on here. And I thought that I can go into settings if you want to give me like 2 more seconds and I'll retry, or are we like at the point where you're like, Danielle, I'm done waiting for you?
No, not at all. But I'm pretty positive that you don't have camera access because of the amount of followers on your page.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't think it's the settings, but you can check. I'm almost positive, though.
I believe you. You probably know more about it than I do. Yeah, because I have my personal account signed on my phone. So I was on my computer when you said, I had to switch over. That's what
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know why TikTok won't let us go live on a computer, but they got to work that out.
Yes. How are you doing?
Well, welcome to Alvo Counts.
Thank you.
All right. I'm so happy to have you here. We're going to be talking about your run for state representative, and and all the great things. Going to give you all the hard questions. Let me just remind you and everyone else watching who we are. We are Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in these upcoming elections. Through voter education, candidate outreach, and community engagement. We support leaders who are ready to serve the people, not special interests. By working across state lines and elevating local and national issues, we aim to increase voter turnout, inform public dialogue, and build momentum for lasting change. Our vote count is more than just a name, people. It's a promise, it's a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. So again, thank you all for being here tonight. I am Melanie Buttermel, Mel. You can call me all those things. I will answer to each of them. And tonight we are talking with Miss Danielle Bell, who is running for Georgia's state representative in District 44. We're going to find in District 44 includes Woodstock County and Marietta County. So if you know anyone in Woodstock County or Marietta County, tell them to come on in here. Listen to one of their options here. Informed decisions. We have a population in her district of about 60% white, 66% white, 9% black, about 6% Asian, 12% Hispanic, and everyone else is about 7%. Unfortunately, your minimum wage is still at $7.25. Oh. However, even with that, the median household income is $107,000. So that's pretty good. The current incumbent for District 44 is a male by the name of Don Parson, who is a Republican. So we're gonna try to flip this district, guys. All right. Let me just tell y'all a little bit about what I found out about Danielle. She is a community-centered leader guided by faith, integrity, and a deep commitment to service. As a leader in healthcare and mental health spaces for over 15 years, she has spent her career advocating for whole person well-being, responsible stewardship, and solutions that strengthens, not divides, communities. She understands that strong families, safe neighborhoods, and accessible healthcare and quality education are the foundation to a thriving Georgia. She is a small business owner, retired military wife, and mother of 3 girls living in Marietta, Georgia. Did I do you justice?
That sounds right to me. Absolutely, yes.
Well, tell everyone else why you decided this was the time.
Yeah, well, thank you for asking that and that lovely introduction. I ran last time and we got really good results. We came in just shy, so we're gonna finish what we started and cross the line and win this time. I am a social worker. I made it to clinical director at a hospital and thought I could change the system in terms of just how broken our healthcare system is. And I saw my patients slipping through the cracks and not able to get them the care that they needed. I realized in that time that the system was working exactly as intended for the benefit and profit of those at the top at the expense of our health and well-being. And it was incredibly frustrating to feel like I couldn't change the system. So much so that my brother was diagnosed with a terminal illness at age 23, and he was told that he might have 7 to 10 years left. And unfortunately, he experienced some of the same gaps in the healthcare system that I described, that I saw with my patients. And he only made it 2.5 years. And I thought that that's not right. Myself being a clinical director and knowing about the healthcare system, not able to help him navigate that, get his doctors to communicate, and ultimately his demise was preventable in the way that it happened. And I want to stand up and have a voice for families just like mine, people who've lost loved ones to a broken healthcare system that's not meant to help us.
That sounds like you got a challenge on your hands, but it sounds like you're equipped to handle it.
I feel that I've seen a lot. I've worked in companies that treat patients right, and it's really hard for them to make a profit. I've been in companies that are profitable but toxic. And I think that there has to be something that prioritizes our health and treats us like people.
Absolutely. So we like to do a little icebreaker here. And my icebreaker question to you is, what is the most joyous part of being a girl mom?
I am so proud to watch them grow and see their confidence. So my kids are way into musical theater. They like music and dancing and all of stuff. I think the best and most enjoyable part is seeing them get on stage, find their confidence, and just really grow into their personalities has just been amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm assuming they like Hamilton, huh?
Oh my goodness. We are so obsessed with Hamilton right now.
I only know that because I have a girl who is very into musical theater and it's one of her favorite things. So
Yes.
that is like the epitome of musical theater to my knowledge. Well, let me tell you what we do. So we're going to go through about 5 topics, 2 to 3 questions per topic, depending on how you answer the questions. You know, if you have a little lengthier one, it may be 2. If it's short answers, it'd be probably all 3. But no rush. You can give me your full answer. In between those, we're going to do what's called rapid fire. And those are questions I will pose to you that has quick 1-word or yes or no answers to them. So with that being said, are you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, our first topic is what you were just talking about, healthcare. Georgia's Pathways to Coverage programs. Georgia's Pathways to Coverage program enrolled far fewer people than expected. How would you reform eligibility and enrollment to improve access to affordable care?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the easiest, most straightforward answer is that Pathways was developed as a way to reject the expansion of Medicaid provided for through the Affordable Care Act. And the best way to get there is to expand that Medicaid that covers the gap of people, maybe low income, but not low enough to qualify for our current standards. The Pathways program, as you said, it was grossly underutilized. The application process is difficult, and 80% of its costs are administrative, not actually going to the healthcare providers or to provide services for its patients, the customers. So I think that getting rid of a system that's duplicate in nature and just using a system that's already there, just actually funding it and helping people.
Okay, so you're saying basically you get rid of the Pathways to Coverage and just expand Medicaid.
Yeah. That's the way the national framework has set us up. We wouldn't have to recreate the system and have all of the administrative costs. And of all 50 states, there are only 6 that refused Medicaid expansion as outlined through the Affordable Care Act. And Georgia's one of those 6. All 6 are Republican-led states. And I think that it's ugly that our certain states or Republican leadership have rejected the expansion just because it's Obamacare.
Wow. Now, many rural hospitals in Georgia are financially stressed and may close without additional support. How would you support rural and smaller hospitals serving your region?
Yeah, I think that there needs to be more in terms of funding and being able to provide. I have so many thoughts on this. Let me stop and think. There are 70 rural hospitals across Georgia that have closed in the last, I think, 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And what that means is many rural people have to drive quite some distance to get to a hospital or a doctor or even just a regular checkup. And I was raised in a rural area, so I totally get having to drive like an hour. It's a lot. You have to schedule your care. And if you want emergency or something urgent, or if an appointment comes up and they call you and say, hey, cancel this. Can you come in right now? The answer is no. It's going to take me an hour to get there. And I think that people's health is suffering because of it. I think that there's a lot that we could do in terms of creating policy, more providers, and being able to work with availability. Georgia, I think, is on the bottom in terms of getting pre-authorization, takes longer in Georgia than average across the US. So shortening that length of time that insurance providers have to give authorization can get people seen faster. And when you have more available appointments, it's easier to get in. People will schedule more often, which helps with the profitability, because if rural hospitals and clinics have all these openings and they aren't getting paid for those time, they don't have patients in their rooms. So increasing their funding through ease of access and making sure people have access to care can help a lot to support the system.
Absolutely. I know a lot of states are, moving to urgent cares to handle the emergency needs of people. Do you think that's a good idea?
It depends. I think it is. So we're not clogging the ERs, especially with long wait times and availability of doctors, and then the high costs of ER as opposed to the urgent care. I think that would be an ideal step. I know that I took my kid to the ER recently and sat for hours and never got seen. And eventually the issue that I was so worried about kind of passed, but, and so we just went home. And she's fine, obviously. But that's,
I did that myself one day. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I don't know, but I just wasn't feeling right. End up calling the ambulance, and they came. They checked me. They gave me some aspirin. They said, but they can't be 100% sure I was not having a heart attack. Did I want to go to the hospital? I said, yeah, I guess, because they did not, what's the word I'm looking for? They didn't assure me, I wasn't sure. So I went, and 8 hours later, I was still sitting in the lobby.
Oh my goodness.
I said, well, I guess I'm not having a heart attack. So if you can go ahead and take this IV out my hand, I'm going to go ahead and go home.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're going to get you to the doctor right now. I don't need the doctor. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because I've been here for 8 hours and I'm not on the floor. So I must not be having a heart attack. I'm going to go ahead and go. So yes, we definitely have to figure out how to fix that problem in our emergency rooms in this country. It should, that's the point. It's an emergency room. You're having an emergency. Yeah. So Georgia has been in the news with this heartbeat bill. And I want to even say, even with some unfairness with women having babies and being turned away. That might not have been Georgia, but I'm thinking it was. Anyway, what is going on with Georgia and babies and women? And how will you go into that capital and make sure women can make their own decisions when it comes to their health care, and make sure women, Black women in particular, are receiving the proper health care?
Yes, Georgia did make the news. There were a couple people or a couple cases that made national news for women died because they weren't able to get the care that they needed. And even one case where a woman was kept on life support for the viability of the fetus, but that's no quality of life, and that's not what her family wanted for her. It really takes the power and control over those those kind of really important decisions, it takes it away from the people who are living, this is their reality of having to support a family and or grow their family, and to be able to make the decision on how that works best for them. I really tie this to a big question that I get out in the community and campaigning is, well, how can you be Catholic and pro-choice? Or how does this align with faith? Or Democrats have no values. I've heard it all. And being able to speak on, God gave Mary choice of like, do you accept this? Or, God trusted women to know what's best for them and their bodies. And that being able, or God's way is giving us free will. Taking that away is not what faith is about. And I'm a really big advocate for that, a really big proponent in talking about these kind of things so that we're not pigeonholed or painted as a caricature on Fox News and people believe that's who we are, what we stand for. I think that James Tellerico has also done a really great job to speaking to this of our virtues, our values of help your neighbor, welcome and take care of the immigrant, and you create community that fosters love as opposed to giving the oppressor more power.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. I want to remind the audience that you are welcome to request up to ask Miss Danielle any questions you may have about healthcare or anything else. Or you can put the questions in the chat and I will pose those questions to her. Well, we're going to go into our next topic, which is education. And make sure you're tapping that screen, guys. Our next topic, education. Now, you said rising prices are driven in part by corporate greed. Wait a minute. That's not Nope, that's not education. The questions must have got moved around. With Metro Atlanta schools facing funding pressures from federal cuts and rising insurance costs, what specific state policies would you support to protect classroom resources and teacher support?
I don't know the exact bill numbers or whatnot, but I know that there's been a lot of support for charter schools, and I think that those are a terrible idea. They take funding away from public schools to channel into private schools, and the research that's come from that is the people who use that, it's not like they're getting out of a public school to go to a private one. It's people who are already in the private system, and usually more well off or higher income bracket that are using those vouchers. So it's just more handouts to the top 10% or whatnot who are already wealthy enough to be able to, if that's their choice for private school, then they should have to pay for that, not rely on taxpayer dollars to subsidize their kids' education.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that is one of the biggest questions I have about, the vouchers is why did they think that it would be okay to use public tax money to fund private schools? So what would you do to combat that once in the state house?
I think that we need fully funded public school systems. We need resources available for teachers so that they can do their jobs. We expect teachers to do miracles with almost no support and no resources. And in that, I know so many people who've left the field of being a teacher because they're burnt out on a system that keeps asking them to do more and more with less. So making sure that our teachers are supported, that salaries are competitive, and that schools have technology, resources, books, availability and opportunity that's equal access, and not just based on if you're in the right school districts, you have more than others that are less fortunate.
So really quickly, just to address the comments, Someone mentioned about charter schools. You can give us your opinion about charter schools. Ms. Gwen asked, can an income limit be put on those vouchers? And Mike, yes, it could, on any topic, I will ask the question. So, yeah, what do you think about charter schools?
Charter schools, I'm not as familiar with them, and this is one area where I can definitely beef up on my knowledge. My understanding is that there are some really great charter schools out there. I think that what I have learned is that some charter schools use their charter status to deny entry, and it becomes a nominal way to segregate. So making sure that there are admissions that are comparable. If they're getting public funding, that they are accepting a diverse group of students and being able to provide those opportunities across the board.
I agree. Now, again, like I said, Ms. Gwen said, what do you think about the idea of putting, I mean, if they're not going to get rid of the vouchers, maybe put in an amendment for a income restriction?
Yeah, absolutely. For the vouchers to say that, yes, they should be under a certain income. If you want your kids to go to a public school and you can afford it, by all means, private school, like that should be the case. But we shouldn't have to fund it for everybody just because they want that.
Yes, and like I said, I not only that's the first part of that I find to be such a problem, but the second part is why isn't it common sense to take said money that you would put into vouchers and put into the resources and the infrastructure of the public schools you already have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know why that seems like such a far stretch idea. Now let's talk about universal education or childcare.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that many families are dealing with cost of childcare, and the kids are not getting. I'll be right with you, Mike. Give me 1 second. That the kids aren't getting early education in many states. So, what does universal, child care look like for you in Georgia?
Yeah, we know that early childhood education really sets people up for success. The Sesame Street effect, that when people have access to early education, their long-term results are significantly better. I'm familiar. I've talked to Representative Lisa Campbell about what she's trying to do at the State House. And I think if there are more Democrats in office, her proposal would get more traction. And it's to help with subsidizing and offering more opportunity for early education, universal preschool, and then also like that childcare. She's worked with daycares to increase opportunities, providing them resources, and making sure that they have the skills and training to be able to provide that early enriching environment from infancy and childcare, and then through preschool.
Okay. That sounds good. That sounds great. Again, I want to remind everyone, if you have a question, you can request up or put your questions in the chat. Mike, I don't know what happened, but if you like, you can request back up. I'll bring you back up so you can ask your question. We're going to go into our first rapid fire real quick. Okay, so this is what would you prioritize? Okay. Transparency or efficiency?
Transparency.
Okay. So as long as everybody know what's going on, we don't care if it's done right. I'm kidding. Transparency is good. It's a good answer.
Yeah.
Teachers pay or student resources?
That's a good one. I might start with teacher pay.
Okay. Road and highway infrastructure or public transportation?
Ooh, public transportation all day. If we could get that all over Georgia, like especially like the metro area, and the traffic in Atlanta is crazy. So that would be amazing.
Okay. Lowering housing costs or securing jobs?
Say it again. I was looking at the comment because it popped up. My bad. Can you say that again, please?
Okay. That's a good question, Mike, and I'm going to ask that in just a second. Lowering housing costs or securing jobs?
I think lowering housing costs is really important.
Okay. Raising the minimum wage or taxing the rich?
Can I say both? I think that fair is we should all have to pay equally. That the rich people that have all these loopholes and shell companies that they can hide their money, that's setting up a system that can't sustain itself. I think that's highest priority.
Okay. You're given a bill. In this bill, you get each district will be awarded $10 million for education.
Mm-hmm.
However, in this same bill is a proposal to put the 10 Commandments, display the 10 Commandments in the schools. Are you yay or nay on that bill?
I think we have to go with freedom of speech, like in freedom of religion. That bill needs some work before it gets approved.
Okay. What's the biggest issue facing your community right now?
We knocked 10,000 doors last time and really connected with neighbors. And we've already knocked over 3,000 doors this cycle. So we're on track to hit 40,000. And I love talking to my neighbors. So the biggest thing that I've heard from the people in my community are things like traffic, affordability, infrastructure, especially Woodstock is growing so fast that the traffic is terrible. Housing is ridiculously expensive. And even people who are in those homes, their kids are young adults and can't move out and start their own life, or they have to move far away. So those are the concerns that I've heard most prominently in talking to people in my community.
Okay. With that being said, what is one thing your community doesn't care enough about?
Good question. I think recycling. I am such a tree hugger. If I could save the world all by myself, I would do it in terms of our taking care of our environmental resources and clean air. I grew up on a farm, so I know the stuff that goes in our food system, and it's a little gross. And most people in rural areas believe that corporations and monopolies have taken over our food system. The stuff that's in our food would not be in our food if we were a European country. It's just not allowed. And so we are poisoning ourselves, and that feeds the healthcare system. We are sicker because of the junk that's in our foods. It's a whole system. So I think if I had it my way, really cleaning up our environment and our food supply would be top priority.
All right. That's a great answer. Last question. Describe your leadership style in one word.
One word, motivational. I like to find people's strengths as a therapist. I talk to people all the time, and to highlight their strengths and then teach them how to, use it, or how we can work together. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go to that first question, which was, what is your take on money in politics, and what regulations, if any, would you propose?
Money in politics is ridiculous. I think Citizens United completely trashed the voice of the people, of individuals, and gave corporations more power to essentially buy their way and their influence in politics. I think that we should go back to a place where there was more transparency and there were limits to the amounts that are going to campaigns.
Okay. Do you think that getting on a ballot should be free everywhere?
That would be really nice.
Okay. And then the second question that was posed in the comments, what will you do to help the mental health crisis?
So in Georgia, there is something called parity, where the Affordable Care Act outlined that mental health is health and should be covered by insurance policies. That was 2010. And Georgia did not enforce mental health parity until 2022, when there was a case brought to the Supreme Court, where health insurance companies said mental health is not a covered benefit or a covered service, and in direct violation of the national standard. And so that case was won, and now insurance companies are supposed to cover mental health as a service, but that's not happening consistently, and there's no essentially enforcement to make that be the case. So the best thing that we can talk about to get started is making sure that people have access to mental health care.
Yeah. And make sure that it's covered.
As a covered benefit, yes.
Absolutely. Great answer. Hello, Miss Ashley Banks. She said congratulations to you, Miss Danielle.
Thank you.
She's running too. All right. So our next topic is racial discrimination. Now you've said that you will represent all communities in District 44 and fight discrimination in any form. What specific anti-discrimination policies would you prioritize in the Georgia House?
Good question. I think that being able to make sure that people have access to resources is important regardless of their zip code, and being able to redistrict in ways that give power to Black and Brown voices. In 2020, our maps were cut based on the census, and it went to the Georgia Supreme Court, and a judge deemed our maps to be racially driven to decrease the power of Black and Brown voices. And I think the biggest issue going on in the Georgia legislature right now is that we'll have redistricting in 2030. So we need to retake the House to make sure that our maps are fair, and that way the representatives who are elected from those districts are more representative of the people who live there, and that their voices, their votes are more equal in power to other areas.
So in Georgia, the legislature does the redistricting, or do y'all have a separate entity that does it?
The legislature does that.
Oh, wow.
So getting back control of the House. The really cool thing where we are right now is what we know in the 2018 midterms, where Trump's popularity was so low that we flipped 14 seats in the Georgia House. And now we are only 10 away from majority. We know that based on elections that are happening now, that there's these huge 20 plus point swings from R to D. And so we're only 10 away from majority, and mine is rated in the top 8 across the state.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really
but with that being said, how fair do you think either party can be with redistricting? Or should every state have a separate entity do that? Because I mean, I don't want, it to be overly, swung, in a Democrat redistricting. I want it to be fair. That, you draw the lines out and that may the best man win.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I would definitely support that idea of they should be fair. Just because they game the system, if we go in and game the system and then we lose majority a decade or two down the road, that we are still in this back and forth, let's just stop playing games and do the right thing.
Absolutely. Now, a federal judge recently rejected a settlement aimed at addressing racial bias in Cobb County's fire department hiring. What would you do at the state level to support transparent and equitable employment practices in public safety departments?
That's a really good question. I wasn't familiar with that. So can you say it again?
Um, from the research that was done, they said that it was a settlement. Well, it says a federal judge rejected a settlement aimed at addressing racial bias in Cobb's County Fire Department hiring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is based on the research that the research team has done here. So
Mm-hmm.
apparently there was a case brought against how the fire department in Cobb County was hiring people, and it seems like it got rejected. So
Yeah.
how will you make sure that the hiring of our public safety departments is fair and equitable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really great question that I want to learn more about myself of how can we make sure that this is more fair, whether it's, oversight or some kind of involvement, transparency to this process. These are public safety workers, public service positions, and there should be a way. My husband was in the military for 20 years, and what he said that he really liked is that it was absolutely merit and effort based. They had all kinds of systems to make sure that if you were willing to put in the work and show up and take their little tests that they have to do, the qualifications, that you get your promoted. You earn that, and they very much document who gets promotion and who's coming up short. So I would probably ask him, like, how did they do that? And how can we implement more of those strategies at a local level?
Absolutely. Now, as a mother of biracial children, civil rights groups are appealing a school discipline case involving racial and disability discrimination. What legislative reforms do you support to protect students like your girls, civil rights, and ensure that discipline policies comply with the law?
Yeah, I think that policies need to be applied equally across the board, and doesn't matter if you're in a rural, suburban, or more urban area. There's an expectation for standard quality education and expectation. We're very familiar that the school to prison pipeline is a real thing. Being able to have metrics that follow students and how they're doing, and to provide schools with support or funding or resources that need it, but making sure that kids have quality education and that we're not punitively disciplined. I've spoken recently at the Cobb County School Board about the impact of suspension, and the situation there was students in Cobb County had planned a protest around ICE and standing up against what they've seen ICE do to some of their peers and their classmates. And these students were threatened with suspension. And I went to the school board meeting to speak on behalf of suspension discourages engagement, and it could have been an opportunity for civic engagement and learning about the history of civil rights and protest, and it could have been used as a teaching moment and enriching the experiences, the lived experiences of our students, but our current school board used that as a punitive opportunity.
Instead of teaching. Yeah, that's like Georgia. That's like Georgia. So, did you notice any racial similar, or what's the word I'm looking for? With the group, was the group of a certain racial background, or were they across the board?
You mean like the students that were threatened with suspension, or?
Correct.
Yeah. I don't know that there was any differences or I'm certain that they did not track that because when information doesn't exist, then it's not a problem.
That's true.
Yeah. So the lack of transparency, the lack of insight, or the just not following data to see how it's impacting our people. I'm not sure that the suspensions were implemented differently across different ethnic or racial backgrounds, but I do know that in some of the school systems, there was a student that was deported.
Oh.
And that really impacted some of the kids, obviously, in the school system.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that, I know we kind of going, but we all talk about racial discrimination, and with the frozen people, because we don't like to say that word too much on here, the algorithm be listening. So the frozen people, they, they are going about this, in my opinion, all the wrong way. I do know and agree that, we do have rules in the country and people need to follow the rules. But there's also a way to treat people humanely. And when you are a high school student, 9 times out of 10, this is the only place you've ever known. And so, when you have a administration saying, I'm going after the hardened criminals, the worst of the worst, and yet my classmate, who I know is a good guy, gets deported, it appears that you're lying. How do you think this has impacted Georgia, with the frozen people doing what they're doing?
I've been inspired to see just how community activism has made an impact. They purchased a warehouse. They are looking to build a new detention facility in Social Circle, Georgia, which is, rural area, again, out of sight, out of mind, so that people won't be aware of what's going on. And this community came out in support of, we will not provide water to this facility. And there were so many people that were protesting or that spoke out against this detention facility coming to their small town. That's not what their community stands for. That's not what they're about. And I think that their efforts were, at least so far, successful in slowing down the essentially building and creation of this detention facility.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, it's one thing, not to, I guess, maybe push back against what the administration is doing. It's another thing to help them. Like,
yeah. And again, that can be addressed at the state legislature. So our current state legislature has pushed policy that local, county, city police departments are required to help and assist federal agents. And the minority in the House and the Senate are trying to push forward bills that require the demasking of agents and allowing that local police enforcement are having to use their local resources to do the federal job.
Danielle, I need you to get in there quick, girl. We gotta stop this madness.
There's a lot of really exciting stuff. We just have to mobilize our people and have the vote show up, and then we can really see some real change.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about agriculture, because we know a lot of Georgia, and while you're running for District 44, you will be in the state legislature. So you will be making decisions for all of Georgia. Georgia farmers are reporting rising input costs for fertilizer, fuel, and equipment in 25-26. What state policies would you support to help local growers stay solvent and competitive?
Yeah, that's a good question. growing up on a farm myself, I am familiar with the federal subsidies that exist in terms of like making sure that farmers can make a living, and different programs that help with their like being able to have an infrastructure and to sell their product and to have a market for it that's competitive and fair. And I think that I would want to learn more about like, what's being done currently, and then what our farming community is looking for in terms of support.
Okay, sounds like a great answer. Now, urban agriculture and community gardens are expanding in the Atlanta region to help food access. Should Georgia promote and fund similar programs in Cobb County
That would be
or in your district?
Yeah. That would be a really great thing of people learning about their food, where it comes from. As I said, the pesticides, the chemicals, the substances that are put into our food system and the impact on our bodies and our health overall. I think people learning about what goes into the food system and how they feed their bodies and how that impacts their health overall. Anything that would promote that would be really great.
Okay. Well, this current administration is claiming that they are going to reward farmers that have faced economic challenges due to the tariffs. If there are farmers in your district or in Georgia that don't fully recover based on whatever the administration may give them, are you prepared to support a bill that would help the farmers of Georgia?
I think, yes, farmers have a lot of thoughts about all that you just said. I think that tariffs were awful, and our Supreme Court has supported that those are illegal. And Trump's lost a bunch of his base, and like rural areas that were all about support are saying, wait a minute, this impacts me. It affects my bottom line. And so he's saying, oh, I'm going to give you this support. I'm going to give you this money, trying to like win that support, win those people back. I guess my general idea is I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
And as far as it being able to help support them, I think that everybody was impacted by tariffs. It hits us in our pocketbooks. So yes, supporting Georgia farmers, but I think more importantly is how are we creating a structure of living in Georgia that housing is affordable and education is affordable, and that there's a quality and lower cost of living for everyone across the board to be able to be more successful at doing those things.
Okay. And what's your plan for that to make things more affordable for the average Georgian?
I think that there's a lot of waste that goes on in our current system.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of corporations that buy influence. My opponent, for example, has been in office for 30 years, and he is the chair of the Telecommunications and Utilities Committee, and he is 80% funded by those same corporations he's supposed to be regulating. So I think that is a prime example of just the corruption that happens when we allow corporate funding. Corporations are people too, in our elections. Then the system is corrupt and policy is written for the benefit of people who are already very well off, as opposed to policy that works for people. Our state has like $1 billion, I have to check those numbers, but we do have a very large surplus in the state budget. And I think that those dollars could be used to actually help people and create infrastructure and lower cost of living through creating these resources, as opposed to just giving corporations more tax breaks.
Agreed. So as you said earlier, we're going to lower the housing costs. I mean, we're going to tax the rich people, and then maybe the the cost of living will even out. All right. Now, what was says Georgia is expanding for farm to school programs to include more local produce in school meals.
Mhm.
How can you ensure local farmers benefit from these programs while lowering food costs for families? And what else should the state do to improve child nutrition and
Mhm.
support local agriculture simultaneously?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that there to create a program and have it be successful, there has to be an education around it. We've seen that with other successful larger programs that there had to be some kind of marketing around it to let people know about it before they benefit from it. So kind of once word catches on, then more people can participate and we actually see better results from that system. So I think that, yeah, creating a system that supports and helps farmers understand how to utilize those kind of programs, getting fresh fruit, vegetables, local produce into school systems would be really beneficial to our children.
Now, Michelle Obama got a lot of pushback for that,
Mhm.
not a flack for trying to make, the meals in the school more healthy for the children. How
Mhm.
do you win people over with a healthy menu?
Yeah.
How do you win children over? They don't want healthy.
I think haters gonna hate. Like I'm a mom. I want my kids to eat healthy foods, not just junk food. I want to see them strong and have every opportunity. And I think that some people are going to name call and say what they're going to say, but that doesn't change the value system that we stand on.
Absolutely. Great answer. All right, so we're gonna do my second set of rapid fire. And this one is fun. This is not so political. Just to get to know Danielle Bell a little better, okay? Gold or silver?
Silver.
Okay. Are you glamping or camping?
Mm, I camping.
Oh, good answer.
We went to Utah and was doing some of like the Grand Canyon type stuff, and I wanted one of those ledge tents that like you put your tent in the side and like my husband's like,
Off the side of the mountain?
yeah,
No.
I want to like really like rough it and just one night under the stars and like experience that. Yeah,
That's cool.
I want to do it just
Bagels or toast?
bagels.
Bagels? Anything
Mhm.
on it?
I don't do bagels or toast very often, so you put on the
That's
spot.
like either one. I myself am a English muffin girl, and it has to have cream cheese and jelly.
There you go. So either cream cheese or peanut butter. I'm okay with like either would be amazing.
Okay,
Mhm.
a potted plant or a bouquet of flowers.
Ooh, potted plant.
Okay, what's your favorite ice cream?
Birthday cake.
Oh, I'm a cake batter.
Yeah.
Birthday cake is too sweet for me, but I love a cake batter.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me test your Georgia, your Georgia street smarts.
Mm.
Goody Mob or Outcast?
Outcast.
Okay. Ti or Ludacris?
Ludacris. My husband was friends with Ludacris in high school.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Back in the day.
What branch did your husband serve in?
He was in Navy for 20 years.
Navy. All right. Are they hoorah? I don't know.
I guess so.
Bulldogs or Yellow Jackets?
Bulldogs.
Falcons or Hawks?
Falcons.
Okay. And your favorite place in Georgia?
My backyard.
Not your backyard. It's better than any other park in the whole state of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that. That's good. All right. Again, I will remind everyone, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, or you can request up and ask Miss Danielle, who is running for the state seat in District 44 of Georgia. Any question you would like, just pose that question. We like to be as informed as we can, and make sure you're still tapping that screen, everyone. Our last topic that we're going to go into is environment. Now, Cobb County recently approved a new stormwater fee of $4.75 per month to address crumbling stormwater infrastructure. How would you ensure that stormwater fees are equitable for low and moderate income residents?
Yeah. Good question. I think that there is a system for utilities for people who are low income to contact their utilities providers and to be able to get some support with that, or even some forgiveness of those bills. So making sure that those kind of programs equally apply to if people are struggling with that fee, what that might look like in terms of what the utilities companies can make sure that can do to make sure they still have access to clean water and other utilities.
Okay. So kind of like the heat program they have already to help, low income and seniors with their electricity bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now the county has a backlog of about 100 stormwater pipe repairs and dozens of sinkholes due to infrastructure strain. How should responsibility for stormwater improvements be shared between local, state, and private stakeholders?
That surplus that I talked about in our budget, those are our tax dollars that we've paid in, and they're saving it for, a rainy day or whatnot. And the storm drains are a perfect catch for a rainy day. I think that the state has money that can be used to build infrastructure and help people here.
What is your understanding of how a district such as yours would get the funding it needs to address infrastructure projects?
I think that those decisions are split between like the county, local government level versus the state level of coordinating what needs to be done, which roads are under whose responsibilities, and those plans moving forward.
Okay. So typically if I live on a street that's full of potholes, that would be addressed by the county.
Yes, especially for those residential streets.
Okay. But the highway would be the state's responsibility?
Yes.
Okay. And what about the town streets or the city streets? Like one of the main roads to the city?
Yeah, so if it's like a major street that's going through like a downtown area, there might be some joint effort where state takes on that responsibility.
Mhm.
That's my understanding, and I would have to look into it a little bit more.
Okay. I got to look for ones in my office cleaning. All right. So experts recommend stronger tree canopy protections to manage the stormwater and reduce heat. How would you ensure that tree preservation is included in future development planning?
I think that is amazing. I would love to see more green spaces. There's so many benefits from quality of air, how people sleep, mental health benefits for having green spaces in city environments, especially. So I think that speaking with the civic engineers who are designing these spaces and making sure it has that environmentally friendly aspect of creating green spaces and planting trees as these spaces are being built and developed.
Okay, that sounds good. Um, let's touch a little bit on term limits. Okay. Um, a lot of people say we need term limits at the federal level. I believe we need them at the state levels too. But there are a lot of people who argue there are term limits, that you have 2 years to prove that you should be elected again. But is that enough? Do you think that, oh, thank you, C. Do you think that there should be some concrete term limits set in state legislature?
I do, yes.
And what does that look like?
I think that there should be term limits. It's people who get in power and then use that position to enrich themselves, or maybe they run out of new ideas, and it would be really great to pass the baton to the next generation, and to allow space for new or different information or newer, different approaches to being able to fix a problem with new information, as people learn and grow.
Okay. Now, you did say one of the major issues that your community, you heard from your community, is about affordable living. Do you have any plans or proposals to address the housing cost in District 44 or across Georgia as a whole?
Yeah, there are a few different policies that make it harder to have affordable housing. Some of them at the state level, some are more county or city level. For example, we have real estate companies that buy up properties and they own like 10% of the housing, and then they use those as rentals. So that decreases the amount of houses that are available, and it has renters as opposed to people who are building generational wealth through home ownership. So being able to have limits on how corporations take over our communities and make it harder for everyday people to own a home and to raise their families. I think that would be a really good place to start in creating housing that is more affordable. At the city and county level, I've heard of these city councils creating policy around it has to be 80% brick or stone front, and it has to be on X amount of size land. And those rules are essentially developed to protect their own property values. They don't want their property values to be lowered, so they're creating these kind of things. But my dad had, he's retired now, but when he was working, he had a small business. He ran his own construction company. He built houses, and I grew up seeing him do that. So I'm very familiar with how that process works and how each decision, the kind of countertops you have, the size of plot that you build on, or the number of garage, or the exterior of the house, all of that can have a huge impact, increasing the value of the home by just to meet these city or county regulations that they're putting out can raise anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000.
Okay, but so fixing the way the properties are built could help make a more affordable housing.
Yes, to work more diligently on making affordable housing as opposed to driving the cost of housing up.
Understood. Well, y'all, that's about all I have. We have some closing questions. But again, I invite anyone to come up if you have any questions, and or put them in the chat. If we could finish the gift goals up here before we end, that'll be great. Miss Danielle.
Yes.
Is there anything that we did not talk about today that you would like to present?
Good question. Get out there, vote. As we talked about, really our success is going to be how much we can engage and get our message out there. So everybody has a part in getting active, knocking doors, sending postcards, donating to your favorite candidate to help them so that they can reach more voters. Yard signs are really expensive, and I did not raise enough capital last time to be able to do that. And we're putting in our first order for yard signs. So I'm really excited about that. And as much as we hate money in politics, unfortunately, you have to play the game to win, to be able to change those rules and make it more fair for everybody in the future. So just getting involved, donate where you can, and let your neighbors know about good candidates so that we can create and drive real change.
Absolutely. Now, voters often say they feel disconnected from their representatives. How will you keep yourself accountable to the people in your district? And what commitments can you make today about transparency, accessibility, and regular communication with your constituents?
I have been knocking doors, going to community events, small business networking activities, and I don't think that ends with the campaign. I think that being a representative means you show up and you continue to engage in those areas. Continuing to do that is really important. I'm a social worker. I've had my entire career based in community advocacy, and I'm not stopping now.
I know that's right. That's awesome. Last question. Looking ahead 5-10 years, what is your long-term vision for your district? And how do you hope residents will be able to look back at your service and say their lives and the communities were improved because you represented them?
Mm-hmm. That would be awesome. That is the goal, like the dream of being able to have an impact and improve people's quality of lives. If I had a legacy to leave behind, I think it would be starting with just more community connection, like that. Politics here in Cobb and Cherokee County is more about community and understanding the role of local government as opposed to the divisive, I hate my Republican neighbors and I hate my Democrat neighbors, that people can overlook political division and the hatred that I see that it causes.
Yeah. What would if somebody, left, let's say they left Marietta tomorrow and they come back 5 years later, what will they see different that Danielle had a hand in doing?
Investment in infrastructure, public transportation, less traffic, and healthier people.
Okay, they're gonna say everybody around here is skinny. and we could drive from one side of Marietta to the other in 2 minutes. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Well, thank you for this conversation, Danielle. It's been such a pleasure.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed my time here. Thank you.
Remind the people of how they can find you. I know we're on your main page now, but let the people know how they can locate you, all your socials, and how they can donate to you.
Yeah, my website, Danielle for Georgia, all spelled out, danielleforgeorgia.com. It has a link to all of my socials. It has a link to donate, and you can learn more about me there.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you everyone for joining us tonight and listening to what Miss Danielle had to present. Hopefully she gets your vote in District 44 of Georgia. Now, Miss Danielle, we absolutely love doing this, highlighting you candidates who otherwise may not even, be heard of. If not for social media and platforms like this. We have 2 more town halls coming up tomorrow. So if you have time to stop through and listen to either one of these gentlemen, it'll be great. Our first one would be, what happened? Our vote. The first one will be Shane Woodrum, who is running for West Virginia's House of Delegates, District 61. That will be tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock, we will be talking to a gentleman by the name of, I think it's Cal Wilson. He's running for, yes, Cal Wilson. He is running for a House federal seat, U.S. House District 1 in California. So we got one state seat running and one federal seat running. And so that is tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So if you could join us and everyone else, that would be absolutely wonderful. What we also do, Danielle, we do a roundtable on Sundays at 3 o'clock. And the roundtables, we have the candidates that we've had on the show come back and sit with other candidates. And we have a very robust conversation where we're talking about current events going on in this country, the state of our country, bounce ideas off each other, get ideas from each other, and maybe even do some complaining about the money in politics. And it's one of my favorite parts of Our Vote Counts, what we do. And I would love to invite you and look forward to having you join us in that conversation. That sounds good.
Yeah, I would love to do something like that. And I will do my work, seeing as how I didn't know I had to log out and log in, and then I had a security issue. So I'll be on my candidate account as opposed to my personal account.
That'll be excellent. So look for that email or the inbox that we'll be sending you. And lastly, if you are out there in the audience, or Danielle, if you know anyone that would like to get more involved in the politics and helping make sure we put the correct candidates in the state house or the federal house, have them DM Our Vote Counts. We are looking for moderators right now to help us do this hard work, to help us make a difference in our democracy. So if you or anyone you know would like to be, like myself, a moderator and help us on this mission, come join our team, DM Our Vote Counts, and we would love to bring you on board and part of the family. So again, I thank you all for joining us tonight. This has been absolutely wonderful. I wish Danielle all the luck. She seems like she has a head on her shoulder and she's ready to do the work, guys. This is her second time running, so she must be ready.
Yeah.
Let me just remind you all of who we are. We are Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity like Ms. Danielle, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we're building a stronger democracy, one informed vote at a time. So make sure you continue to join us because your vote is your power. Thank you all. See y'all tomorrow.